Hello there, everybody, and welcome to the late May episode of WOOF Wednesdays. I might have cut off there. Welcome to the late May episode of WOOF Wednesdays. I am your host, as always, Charles Hammaker, here with Circling Seattle Sports. Somewhat smaller episode today. Just a teeny bit of football news. Softball, their season unfortunately ended, and some awards there. Baseball finishes the season, regular season hot. Some awards for them as well, but that's about it. So let's get right into it here with the football news and team-related news for the Husky football team. Washington gets the commitment of the top 2025 athlete, Lamason Waller. Waller is athlete just kind of means that he plays all over the football field, both on the offensive and defensive sides of the ball. Out of Sultana High School in Hesperia, California, standing at 6'2", 170 pounds. He is considered a two-way athlete that could make an impact on either side of the ball, but it looks like the Huskies will be using him on offense. UW has, interestingly enough, only 4 commitments from the 2023 class and none in 2024, so it's cool to see them get the commitment of somebody like Waller with such a high pedigree in that 2025 class. But also just interesting to note that there is nobody in that 2024 class at this current point in time, and not that many in the 2023 class on its own. So just thought I'd point that out. But good to see that. I know we talked about it last week with the transfers coming that Kalen DeBoer has been bringing in. A lot of the concern has been with recruiting for years now with UW, and I feel like that's a nice step. But obviously, there's still more work to be done. In general college football news, and this does affect the Pac-12, on May 18th, it was announced that the NCAA voted to eliminate divisions. The NCAA voted to eliminate a requirement for conferences to have divisions in order to play conference championship games. Now, with this being said, the Pac-12 is moving to a system where the top 2 teams in the entire conference will square off in the end of the year championship game to decide the winner of the Pac-12. So it was kind of interesting to see. There was a chart that showed if that rule had been in place, what teams would have made it, what teams would not have, over, I believe it was the past 10 years. But something interesting to note, and just knowing that conference games are so important now, you can't really afford to lose a couple to, the lower schools that year. You really have to take care of the games in your conference. So, with that being said, that's all we've got for football. No basketball news, as we mentioned. It's all football, baseball, and softball this week to close out May. We head over to baseball here, who, as I said, finish out their season hot. I'll admit, they were a team that midway through the year I was worried about. I said, hey, this is another year where it seems like it's just unfortunate. And they've won 12 straight. They won 12 straight to finish out the regular season. And it wasn't just these, lower schools in the conference, or non-conference schools necessarily. Well, not all of them, with big important games against ranked teams in the Pac-12, that series against UCLA. So let's look into the final week of the regular season for UW baseball, playing Northern Colorado. So Northern Colorado comes to town for a 4-game set. Yes, a 4-game set. 2 of those games on the 20th, as you can see on your screen here. May 19th versus Northern Colorado, a 20-0 win. Player of the game, left fielder AJ Guerrero, going 3 for 5 with 2 runs and 3 RBIs. May 20th, in the first of a doubleheader, a 5-0 win. Player of the game, once again, left fielder AJ Guerrero, going 2 for 3 with 3 RBIs. In the second game of that doubleheader, a 16-6 win. Player of the game for the third time, AJ Guerrero, going 2 for 2 with 2 runs and 4 RBIs and a walk. And then to finish out the series, 2 for 3 with 2 runs, an RBI, and a walk. So this is a Northern Colorado team that came into this series and really was not good. So you really would expect Washington to roll them, and they did so. I mean, 20 runs, 25. What is that? 44 runs compared to 8 for Northern Colorado. That's a little bit ridiculous. So, I mean, it's talked about all the time in sports. When teams finish out the regular season hot and they go into the postseason hot, that's what UW baseball is doing. So with that being said, as we look ahead here, it was announced that the Huskies have earned the 7th overall seed in the inaugural Pac-12 baseball tournament that will be played down in Scottsdale, Arizona. It runs from May 25th through 29th, so we'll be really quick here. It's a double elimination style tournament featuring the top 8 teams in the conference, the winner receiving an automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. For UW to reach the Pac-12 championship game in this said tournament, they would have to run through Cal, Oregon State, and UCLA just to reach that championship game. So we'll get to who they're playing in a minute here, but we do have some all-conference honors to recognize for Huskies as announced on the 24th. Firstly, pitcher Stefan Raith, as a redshirt junior, hit a 3.23 ERA over 64 innings, going 5 for 4 in his record with a 1.11 whip, recording 4 saves on the year, and was 4th in the Pac-12 with 86 strikeouts. Heading over to catcher Johnny Tincher here. Tincher led the team in batting average at 316, on base percentage at 400 even, top 3 in OPS at 316, hits with 62, doubles with 13, homers with 5, RBIs with 34, total bases with 92, and slugging percentage with .469. His 24 strikeouts were the lowest on the team among starters, and he had a .991 fielding percentage, which allowed him to be named to the all-defensive team for the conference. So congratulations to Johnny on that. And then to wrap up the all-conference honors for our 3 Huskies here, first baseman Will Simpson. Will doing great on the offensive side of the ball, leading UW in OPS at .888, runs with 42, doubles with 15, homers with 11, RBIs with 43, total bases with 111, slugging percentage with .524, and walks with 24. So congratulations to Will, Johnny, and Stefan there. UW finishes out the regular season with a 30-24 record. And their first game of the tournament, May 25th, today, is versus Oregon State at a 4:45 p.m. first pitch. In case you're not aware, Oregon State's one of the best teams in the country. And I know we said the same thing about UCLA, but I believe that UCLA was ranked 8 at the time. Let's try to see. Oh, late season slide for Oregon State. Huh. Well, Oregon State has a 41-13 record. They have the Pac-12 Player of the Year on their team. I just want to see where they're ranked. But I guess they had a skid at the end of the season. They're ranked 4th in the country. Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. So that game is at 4:45 p.m. Depending on if they win or lose, they will either play the next day at 1 o'clock Pacific time or 8:30. So those will be interesting to watch there. But at the end of the day, again, with UW coming into the postseason hot and Oregon State coming into it cold, you never know what might happen. So we'll see how that goes. We're looking over to softball here. Unfortunately, their season ended over the past week. So we'll get to the regional here. Seattle Regional featured Lehigh, Weber State, and Texas. UW would only play Lehigh and Texas as we get over to the past weekend games here. May 20th in the first game of the regional for UW, the second game in the regional as a whole. UW would win that one 9-2, coming alive late. The Husky bats really were just kind of not activated until the later innings, and then they were able to pull away. Player of the game, center fielder Jalen Alchin going 2 for 4 with a run and 3 RBIs. So they won that game, meaning they played the winner of the game earlier than them the day that they played, which would be Texas on May 21st. That was a loss, a 2-8 loss. Player of the game, shortstop Bailey Klingler going 1 for 3 with a run and 2 RBIs. UW just, again, the bats did not wake up until late. In this case, they didn't wake up at all. UW got a 2-run homer in the first inning by Bailey Klingler, and then they didn't do anything. Texas was able to capitalize off some Husky mistakes, and they were able to just pack it on and pack it on and pack it on. So that's unfortunate how that all played out there. So with the loss to Texas, UW would have to play again later in the day to keep their postseason alive. They would beat Lehigh again in a rematch. 6-1. Player of the game, second baseman Kinsey Fiedler, going 2 for 4 with 2 runs and 2 RBIs. So with the win over Lehigh, Lehigh was eliminated. Weber State had already been eliminated. It was up to Washington. They had to win 2 games on Sunday against Texas, back-to-back, in order to advance to the Super Regional against Arkansas. They would beat Texas in the first game 2-1 by some late offense. Once again, Maddie Husky with a 2-run homer late to win it, 1-2. Play of the game was obviously Maddie Husky, going 1 for 2 with a run, 2 RBIs and a walk, setting up a pivotal second game against Texas. Unfortunately, losing that one 2-3. Play of the game, catcher Jen Cummings with 1 for 2 with an RBI. So tough way to end things. Just as it was kind of pointed out as we looked at it over the weekend, UW relied way too heavily on the long ball in terms of home runs. I believe it was 17 of UW's 21 runs came off of homers, and that's just not sustainable. That's something that you need to improve. That's something that's just not going to cut it. So, we'll have a softball season in review for you next week. But they're obviously, losing Gabby Plain and Pat Moore, and that pitching staff is going to be huge. So we'll have to address that here next week. But with that being said, we're going to try to up the attitude here. In team-related news, on the 19th, it was announced that 5 Huskies had been named to the Nfca All-Region team. Bailey Klingler earned first-team honors. Gabby Plain earned first-team honors as well. It is Plain's 3rd first-team all-regional honor and her 4th regional honor of her career. She joins Taryn Alvilo and Caitlin Inglesby as the only other Husky pitchers to earn 4 all-region honors. Sammy Reynolds earned second-team NFCA All-Pacific Region team. Maddie Husky and Olivia Johnson over here earning the same second-team honors for the NFCA All-Pacific team. So with that being said, with the Huskies postseason ending, we will have a softball season in review coming up for you next week. So like I said, small week, short week in University of Washington athletics, at least the 9 teams that we cover. With that being said, I know I've been interested in potentially adding more of the teams. I know that men's rowing is going to the NCAA championships. Tennis has had a good year. Golf, I think both men's and women's golf has a good year. So if there's anybody out there who would like to hear about the other sports at UW, not including football, men's and women's basketball, baseball, softball, men's and women's soccer, volleyball, men's and women's hockey, let me know. We would, if that's something that there's someone out there who legitimately comments and says, hey, I would like to hear more about the tennis team, I will add that to the show. So with that being said, this has been the late May edition of WOOF Wednesdays. Take care of yourself, be well, and do whatever you can to make today a great day.